Hey everyone, and welcome to Beginning to Begin. I am excited to jump into our topic today about organizing our lives to free up our minds. So with that, let's go ahead and jump right in and start talking about organizing our lives a little bit. So there is a lot in our life that can knock us down. There's a lot in our life, right, that can take up our processing power in our brain. There's so many different things that can cause us stress. There are so many different things that have an overhead on what we do in our day-to-day life. And I want to talk about how we can start lifting some of those burdens through natural processes that are beneficial to what we're doing and ultimately are easy to accomplish and execute in our lives. I think with a little grit and a little tenacity, I think that you could execute them and make the necessary changes which will have long-lasting impact in your life potentially. The goal here, obviously, as we're starting to beginning to begin a lot of our projects and goals, is we don't want these things to become sidelined. We don't want these things to fail. We want these things to grow and to change. And so in order for this to happen, we need to be setting ourselves up for success. So let's explore the first idea. Have a budget. So let's be honest, one of the biggest things in our lives that can stop our lives from running very smoothly is having a budget. That money helps us keep things running smoothly, from paying bills to eating food to executing on our hobbies. Money is the key backbone that makes this happen, right? So having a budget is key. Being able to know where your money is going, know how you're spending it, managing that well. And with that, having the budget doesn't mean running up to that fence, running up to that extreme, right? When we push all the way up to an extreme, it's not always good. We need to have a budget with margin, with savings, with goals, with plans, and all of that. I highly, highly recommend Dave Ramsey, the Financial Peace University. It's a great course. It's a few weeks. He has books you can read if you want. There's audio versions. There's an actual class you can enroll in, helping you get out of debt, helping you to have financial peace. And it's a really good course. I've been through it a couple of times, actually. I highly recommend it. So if you're looking to kind of overhaul and bootstrap budgeting in your life, which I recommend, then this is the number one resource that I can recommend and put out there for you guys. In the book Better Decisions and Fewer Regrets by Andy Stanley, he talks about this example of running to extremes or pushing up against extremes, and how a lot of times as humans we like to be at that line, right? We haven't broken the rules, we haven't done anything illegal, quote unquote, but we're right at that line. And he provides this metaphor that I think is really good. He talks about, if you see a toddler standing at the edge of the pool or walking towards the edge of the pool, our innate reaction is to go and rescue them, right? They may have not crossed that line, but they're getting really close to that pool, which is very concerning, right? They're just sitting at that line, asking for disaster to happen, or not even realizing it happens. But as humans, as adults, we have the same tendencies to push up against these lines in our lives, to go up to the speed limit and maybe go a little bit over, but not enough where we're actually going to get arrested, right? Or get even pulled over by a cop. We push up against the maximum lines. And if you start executing in your life if you start doing this in your life with a budget, or with your money, it can be very dangerous, right? You're living up to the edge of your means. You're right there, paycheck to paycheck. All it takes is for your foot to slip and you fall in that pool, for your car to break down, right? And you are having to figure out how to pay for these bills, or you're taking the bus to work, right? All this added stress, all this added potential anxiety that can come with not setting yourself up for margin and pulling yourself off of that line and getting on track. If you're looking for budgeting tools, there are so many apps out there. The one that I use, I really like. My father actually recommended to me, is called YNAB. It's an acronym that stands for You Need a Budget, YNAB. It's a good app. It has some good features in it, and it's not too costly overall. So I definitely recommend it. So outside of setting a budget, that's kind of the first thing I think you can do to really set yourself up for success. And if you are, tackling these in a sequential order, definitely budget is number one thing to organize your life and to free up your mind and your processing time. It will remove an element of stress I don't think you realize you have on a day-to-day basis. When you get that call from the mechanic for how much money the repair is going to be, it will change your stress. It will change how you interact with those things. So outside of doing the number one item, which is that budget, the second item I would highly recommend is to automate your life. So life automation is something really cool, something we can do. We have technology at our fingertips, probably most of us, and we're probably pretty good at flexing those technology muscles. And so automating your life is something that I have found to be extremely beneficial in my own life in reducing a lot of the stress. Granted, I am kind of more of an innovation mindset, but I think that there is value for you to automate your life as well. So let's talk about what that looks like. Some practical things that you can automate. Easiest thing I could recommend is bill payments. Do not make your own bill payments. Do not have to set reminders and alarms and then get a letter in the mail that you're running late on a bill. Just set up automatic bill payments to come out of your bank and go into where they're going. I mean, you're going to have to pay them eventually, right? The money will come out of your bank and it will go into their account because they rendered a service for you. So make sure you automate it. Just make that easy. And of course, if you're saying, Jesse, my budget's not where I can automate it, where I feel comfortable with that money being deducted automatically. Great. Go back to item number one and get that budget on lock. That should not have to be a concern to pay your cell phone bill or your water bill, because that would be very stressful and add a lot of overhead to your life. So automate your bill payments and make sure that happens. Okay, the next thing for automation that pops into my head is eating food, right? So eating food is something that we all do, I would hope, assuming we're all humans listening to this podcast. Eating food is something we do. I know there is a lot of coworkers that live busy lives. They are single. They may not have time to do all the meal prep themselves. They have daycare. They have pickups. There is just so much in their life packed in. So just automate this piece, right? We have so many tools, especially now with this new era of with food delivery services out there. Automate. Find something that will work for you. Whether that's a grocery pickup after work, you can swing by and your groceries are there and they just get put in the back of your vehicle for you, or even maybe delivered to your house. That makes life so much easier. So leverage these technologies, leverage these abilities to get your food into your hands a lot easier. If cooking's not your thing and you're like, yeah, that's great, look at food delivery services. There are a lot out there, and they will ship food and instructions and how to cook it yourself. And so you get that fresh food on the table for you and your family, and it's automated. You don't have to think about it. It comes, you do it, and it's just executed. Of course, there's a price overhead to that, and you'll have to weigh all of those benefits and cons. But I would imagine if you're living a pretty maxed out life and staying pretty busy, I'm guessing you eat out because of how busy you are. So I'm guessing if you look at your budget, it actually could potentially save you some money by getting these food delivery services to your home. Something to consider for sure. Okay, those are the kind of two main examples I have of automating your life. If you have any more examples of automating your life, definitely reach out to me. I would love to hear how you are being innovative in your own life and making sure you kind of make all of these life things happen without having to be as involved in the activities. Be really cool to hear, for sure. Item number 3 about organizing your life and making sure you are reducing that stress and that anxiety to free up your minds to work on these projects, to not get sidelined. Mental health and physical health. So I talk about physical health a lot on this podcast. It's because it's a journey I am currently walking through and working on a lot. So as a person who is fighting for their physical health every day, and is trying to make these changes, I urge you, wherever you are in this path, that to make it a priority. If you want to avoid having to make payments on your eating habits or make payments on your life habits, you need to be exercising consistently. You need to be participating in something that is healthy for you, whether that's just going on a walk in the evenings, whether that's going on runs, or maybe getting a gym membership. You need to be participating because your health will always, always catch up to you. And when it does, you don't want to be behind on the schedule. This is coming from someone who has done this. So take my advice. If you're looking for some motivation, if you're like, okay, this sounds great, I need some, maybe a resource to kind of, push me over the finish line here, or the starting line, I would recommend the book Better Decisions and Fewer Regrets by Andy Stanley. He talks about decisions, and in there he touches on exercise. It's an incredible book with a lot of rich and good content on how to make better decisions and make fewer regrets in our lives. I think all of us would appreciate a life filled with less regrets. Absolutely. And he does touch on exercise in there and health. And so definitely I recommend finding a good routine, even again, if it's just a few minutes every day. Let's talk about mental health. We can do a couple things that kind of automate our time and also provide mental health. Reading a book is a great way. Speaking of reading a book, reading a book is a great way to help your mental health. You're learning. It takes you out of technology. You have a physical book in your hands, right? Unless you're doing a Kindle e-read. But I do recommend reading a book and helping your mental health out and making sure that you are not overtaxing your brain and all of those things, right? There's a lot. I have a blog post about it. You can read about some mental health stuff. There's resources and plethora out there, which are awesome. So definitely utilize those. But having a good mental health and physical health routine, I believe, is going to help you free up your mind from stress. I know when I go on a run, I can feel like, sometimes I know I need to go on a run because my mind starts to feel chaotic. It starts to feel like there's a lot going on, and I have this additional stress that I really don't need, and I really don't know why it's sitting there. I can go on that run and come home, and it just literally feels like I shedded all of those stresses, and I can think clearer and have that mental clarity. So definitely recommend those things. Those are my three main items that I think are very important to enabling success in your life and allowing you to work on the projects and have the time that you need. Life is just truly, in my opinion, about making a lot of small changes that ultimately get added up to the big changes. So if you're wanting to work on your own projects, if you're wanting to optimize the time, if you're wanting to reduce your stress, if you're wanting to do these things, there is no quick fix. There are just incremental changes that ultimately lead you to a better end result in the future. So I would recommend to start now, to start flexing these muscles, to start growing and to start improving yourself so that in a few months from now, you can start reaping those rewards of having more capacity, having more energy, having more mental clarity, and having a better handle on your life as a whole. I definitely encourage you. I hope this episode was helpful as you're processing on and getting started with a lot of your own projects. With that, that pretty much concludes the main content for today's episode. I appreciate everyone who's listening and tuning in. I would appreciate your feedback on this episode. There will be a first-time survey, so you can provide some feedback in there. If you're working on some projects, I would love to connect with you on LinkedIn, get on a Zoom meeting with you, and just kind of hear about what you're working on. And if I can provide any insight or encouragement, I would absolutely love to do that. I know when I have connected with people out in the community, it has been really rewarding, I think, for both of us to kind of see what's being built, what's being grown, and I'm just so excited that you're here and you are putting in the effort and starting to begin on your own projects. So this is beginning to begin, so go forth and conquer and have a great day, whatever might be left of it for you, whether you're starting or whether you're coming to an end. Enjoy it. Peace.